Hey, what's up? This is Joshua. I am recording my video a little bit differently today, so I'm kind of freaking out about where to look, but I think I got it under control. So we're doing a little 2-for-1 today. Welcome to the daily video blog. Today we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about? Mood boards. So last week I did part 1 of how I sometimes will use mood boards as actual deliverables to clients to get them on board with a concept. But I also want to talk a little bit about a mood board in the context of a thing that I like to call the storehouse of treasures. And that is the notion of one of the best ways to kind of educate yourself about design and get a level of taste and refinement in your design work is to have shit you like, which is obviously like so ridiculous and obvious. But what I mean about that is to not compare your work to your colleagues or your classmates, but to compare your work to what you think is amazing. Not in a way where you're trying to knock it off and do the same stuff, but in a way where you've declared certain works as being the measure by which you're going to hold yourself to. And then to constantly have those in mind as a way of doing that. So I'm not going to go into it. I'll just post a link to a specific chunk of a talk I did called How to Paint Like Gerhard Richter that really specifically talks about the storehouse of treasures idea. It plays up really heavily in how I teach. And one of the things I would throw out there is, so as you go into something, one of the things I think is really great is to have mood boards of stuff that you're trying to do across a wide swath of stuff. So let's say you're designing a magazine and you're doing that kind of like front area that's like the sort of roundup, like if you imagine a magazine like Wired or Men's Health or something like that, where they have all those kind of chunky bits of information in the beginning. If you're starting out, or if you've never designed magazines before, some people are just gonna go nuts and be so excited that they're gonna do sort of amazing stuff and they're gonna take a lot of chances. If you're anything like me, you are not gonna do that. You're going to sort of maybe be a little bit too timid and conservative, and you're going to sort of start from where you're normally at and how you sort of normally work. And there's some value to that without a doubt, but I think once you sort of start to think about organizational principles, or once you get your own ideas out, then it's a really good idea to look at how has everyone else handled this area. And not because you want to make something exactly like that, but because you want to see like, whoa, that's an interesting idea. Maybe I should try something like that. Or and so like you might take the sort of departments of magazines going back, I don't know, 40, 50 years or something. You go back to the 50s and find those sort of sections and see like what hidden gems are there that people used to do. Oh, thank you. That were awesome. Very considerate person who actually ducked. So I think that's a super cool idea. The other way that I think is really great to use it is if you're defining a theme. So let's say you want to do something and you want it to have a kind of industrial aesthetic, rather than doing what a lot of people do, which is like they imagine, and what does industrial aesthetic look like in my mind? And then they go and just make that thing. And maybe that's why it's so damn off and wrong and not like genuine or authentic or interesting. The other thing that you could do is to go like, get that rough. I always think it's valuable to get the idea you do have in your head on paper, but then to quickly go and look for more inputs. So then you go and start like thinking about like all kinds of versions of that industrial aesthetic. Like which sort of industrial aesthetic do you mean? Do you mean how the sort of weight information on a train is structured, or do you mean the paintings in the sides of buildings? To start gathering all that stuff up and look for the little nuance in there, but also look for the stuff that you can reinvent. And that if you're looking at the real deal, genuine stuff, you can then compare your work to it and say, is the thing I'm making, is it actually hitting that vibe I'm after? You can start to ask more specific questions. For example, you're looking at the graphics on the side of a train. Are you interested in the sort of little holes that hold things? Are you interested in the line weight? Are you interested in the typefaces? Are you interested in the textures? Like what part of it are you after? And so like once you're looking at that, you can then make something and go like, does this capture that vibe? Like it looks like it, but is it actually the thing I want to do? So I look at mood boards as not as a way of doing like trend research or like positioning, which is totally a value, but for me, I'm interested in them as a different kind of tool. And one really great tool is for giving yourself a like measuring stick and for really forcing yourself to think through a set of aesthetic or design considerations. All right, it's Friday. Have an awesome weekend. I'll see you tomorrow.